first one, we go back to that very well. But I like to watch that and say, hunger, no get religion. That one, I really matter. But looking at this on your screen, first Premier League appearance for Tola Rokodare, even though he never got to score, but it was a great game for the Nigerian international. Some of the highlights, keep moving it. And Haaland, yesterday, Haaland has scored 15 goals in his last 10 games for club and country. 11 goals already this season, 6 goals this week. Great for Haaland after scoring against Moldova, so 7 in the week to say. Chris Santos also makes his debut for the Crystal Palace side. Good to see the Nigerian international making a mark for himself. And also, champions just find a way to get the win. Salah at Tottenham, his first goal against Burnley side. Great to see that one happen that very game. This is the full-time score. Manchester City getting the better of Manchester United, and they're 3-0 right there at the Etihad. Now, Kylian Mbappe posted his younger brother saying, his kid brother to say, showing him love after he scored that goal, that winner, where his club side want to lose it. And that very day, star boy for a reason. Haaland yesterday, folding Haaland with the brace, and that great result for all of those players. And what more can be said about the highlights on the show? This is Kanyisola Ajayi, finished 6th in the 100-meter boat. That's the 6th fastest athlete in the world with a dash of pacey. Talk about that lady, that man, and the athletes. Okay, so 5 goals scored for Harry Kane, 4 goals for Kylian Mbappe. Sekou Girassi, one of the underrated strikers to say in the world of football. He's doing well for himself. And on the highlight again, we have more. Ruben Amorim have come to say, I will do everything I can for Man United. This is my message to the fans. I'm suffering more than them. I won't change my philosophy. If the Ineos want it changed, you change the man. So maybe he has to leave. I don't know how it works. 30 games played, 16 losses, more than half. That's the battle for Ruben Amorim. And also this one, we have the video of this we'll bring to you. This lady is just like the next big thing. 15 goals, or 15 matches rather, 17 goals involvement. Esther Okoronkwo, last 15 matches. We'll bring you the video so you can see for yourself that goal that she scored in that very game. And Esther Okoronkwo scored a brace and provided also and assist. Kelechi Iheanacho with the winner as well for Celtic. That great result for Brendan Rodgers' side, reunited with his former manager. And what more the highlight to tell you? Oh, Victor Boniface, Nigerians scoring goals, not really scoring goals, he assisted. He came in the 75th minute, assisted in the 81st minute. That's a good one for Werder Bremen. Boniface yesterday, I saw that very game. And what more can be said about the highlights? Now, you want to know questions about the Premier League match week 4. How does the table count? How does the table stand? Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Everton, Sunderland, Man City, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, and the rest. For me, history. Okay. This is for the MPFL 25-26 season. The scorelines you have on your screen. Match day 4 about the Nigerian Premier Football League and how it's been all the time. Now, and also, let me see, highlights. Now, in Turkey, on the same day as Man United, the Manchester derby where City won Man United, we had to see Arte Bayern and the goalpost. Ederson and Andre Onana faced off on that game. Man City beat Man United. Ederson Fenerbahce beat Onana Strasbourg. Sorry, no disrespect anyways. Let's see what we have more on the highlight before we talk about Nigeria news. Man United Chelsea comes next. That's a game we'll be seeing on 20th of September very soon. We'll see how that goes. Now, this is about Ruben Amorim. Man United this season, 1-0 loss to Arsenal, 1-1 draw to Fulham, 12-11 loss on penalties to Grimsby, 3-2 against Burnley, and then 3-0 loss to Manchester City. And the next game will be at home against Chelsea. Amorim, just maybe, I don't know what's the fate about Ruben Amorim. I don't even know Amorim and Graham Potters who happens to be worse this season. But Ruben Amorim should be very careful. His job, for me, looks quite at stake. And now, this is like the good news. I thought this would have been first anyway, sorry. Point deduction. There's a news about South Africa. South Africa risk losing 3 points and 3 goals for fielding Teboho Mokoena against Lesotho. If confirmed, you already know what will happen. Now, this is about Benjamin Sesko in danger of becoming the new Rasmus Højlund, sorry. If, this is from Steve BBC saying, if you're going to spend £17 million on a player, then you need to give him a supplier. Like this Kevin De Bruyne alongside Erling Haaland during that very time. So just 20 touches he had, not in the opposition box. That's one bad thing about Man United now. Close players come and struggle. But this is the news officially. FIFA has confirmed the 3-point deduction and 3 goals deduction as well on Equatorial Guinea for fielding in an ineligible player, Emilion Sway, in the World Cup qualifier. So up next will be, or could be rather, South Africa. 2-0 Paris Saint-Germain against Lawrence yesterday. 2-0 rather, Bradley Bacola with a goal for the Parisian side. Great result, I must tell you the highlights. And what more can we have on the screen? Let me see. Okay, so Atletico Madrid got their first win of the season They climb up again. That's maybe 2-0 against Villarreal. Pepe Party couldn't stop them from getting the goal that they needed for themselves. And yes, this is about the G-Tech Stadium where Carvalho equalized. Chelsea cried like babies in this very game. They were the better side, and everybody felt like Chelsea has sealed it up at the G-Tech. Shade, Fabio Carvalho made it 2-2. Cole Palmer came back and returned with a goal. And then Moise Caicedo's goal is also a top-notch one to be talked about on the show today. Let me see. Now, Van der Ven, Sarr, Papi Matasar, Begvar, Van der Ven winning against West Ham. West Ham at home. That's like, I don't know what's next for West Ham, but I feel like Graham Potter will be sacked very soon. A new manager not doing well for himself and his sides. If we're done, then we can go back. Now, this is like one of the greatest results I've ever seen in football. Would I say a comeback? But the great thing about this is unbelievable, where we did see Lilian Thuram, France 98 winner, his kids rather, we are playing that very game. You could see goals from Lilian Thuram as well. Also, Marcus Thuram, Kevin Thuram rather, and Marcus Thuram. His son, the elder one, scored, while the other one, the younger one, made it a result for the Thuram. We'll bring you more. Let's say. Okay, maybe that's all. I don't know. But then we have to go on a quick break. When we return, the show will have to continue. Please stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll tell them more about the South African news and the Super Eagles news. Just stay with us, please. We'll be back shortly. All right, so we start up with this very one. Welcome, good morning, great to have you join us this day. This is the Sports Republic Show. My name is Kizike, and it's time for us to delve into the very big one, and then possibly all of the ones we just showed you were more like highlights, and possibly we would have brought you a video for that very one where that lady talked about Esther Koronko found the back of the net with a stellar free kick. Wonderful performance by the Nigerian international. But let's get into it properly because a whole lot to be checked on this show. We tell you one that I saw, a South African lady, big name to say, has come out to say there is nothing super about the Super Eagles. That's the word. That's the big one. And also South Africa. There's a news about South Africa. I don't know if it's a good news, but if it will not be a good news for them, but maybe a good news for Nigerians. And also, if Equatorial Guinea can be docked 3 points, Emilion Sway, we know the forward is a very good player. Then what more can be said about the Boho Makwena? Would there be politics on this one? Would there be a turnaround with Patrice Motsepe let the sweep under the carpet? I don't think that works. But let's get to it where one man that has not been forgiven to date, his name is Yakuba Yegbeni, is on the story. My name is Kizike. Let's start up properly. Former Super Eagles striker Yakuba Yegbeni has come out with a down-to-earth verdict that the absence of a creative midfielder is affecting the output of the attackers in the Nigerian national team. Yakubu, who made top marks with a lot of clubs big goals for himself in his boots as well in the Premier League. While playing for Portsmouth, Leicester City, Blackburn opined further that the absence of a playmaker is the biggest problem Nigerian current squad are really having. In the words of Yakubu, he said, the midfield is the most important position to worry about now. We don't have a creative midfielder who can pass the ball to our strikers. Look at the way they score goals in the national team now. And you note that it was quite different in our days. We had players like Sunday Olise, JJ Okocha, Finidi George, and other good passers of the ball, but now they don't have them. Yakubu also pointed out that the current Super Eagles squad is saturated with defensive-minded players and noted that even he would have struggled to score in the friendly setup since they lack players who can give that killer passes to the forwards out there. And Yakubu said, we now have too many defensive midfielders. We are really short of someone who can create, who can really pass the ball to the strikers. That's why you see the current Super Eagles in the national team struggling to score goals. Talk about the players up front. Hopefully, he said, we will soon see how they will start passing the ball to our strikers to score. Even if I play with this generation, I will find it very difficult to score goals. He also concluded by saying, looking significantly at Fulham, I love to get, I think we had that Yakubu's picture where he missed that one against South Korea. That's like a picture that people will never forget in a hurry, where Yakubu had the opportunity. This one cannot be ruled out. This is what he's known for. This is Yakubu. We cannot forget this one. But I think, has he been forgiven? Maybe for me, yes, personally, I've forgiven Yakubu, but I don't know about Nigerians if they've forgiven him. But then he's making a point and he's saying, if we continue like this, we would not score. We don't have that creative midfielder who can pass the ball. He said, what about Alexi Iwobi? He said, we only have Alexi Iwobi who can run for 120 minutes. He can help the team defensively, and he does a great job there. But he is not a creative midfielder who can pass the ball effectively to the strikers to score goals for the national team. So in a bit, let's talk about Yakubu Ayegbeni. Would you love to listen to Yakubu Ayegbeni? Yes, that for me works maybe, because he played the game to a high level. His goals are insane. His numbers are outrageous in the Premier League as well, and also for the Super Eagles. And on that part where he said, we lack that creativity, yes, I would say yes, that's true. No doubt. We said Sirivijeza did not play well the other time. Sirivijeza was not good in the game. He did not play well. He's not really, one of those things does not work for me because the passes were not coming. Even Victor Osimhen got off in the 5th minute against the Rwanda side. How many times did he touch the ball? It's a different ball game. If Nigeria can go back to what we have and how we used to have the structure back in the time where we have this quality structure, have JJ Okocha, players that can mix, that can give those killer passes, then strikers will just need to do what? Score the goals. It works. That's why Victor Gyökeres was able to score, even though he was substituted in the early hours of the weekend game that was played against Nottingham Forest. But Eze, that creativity was there. Martin Odegaard got off. Arsenal had the depth because they had players who can change the game and trick it around. Nigeria till date are still struggling. He said, I don't know if that's the case. He said it will be just running around, 120 minutes. But regardless, let's be factual. He is the only, if there's a word like that, creative player we have in the middle of the park, in the midfield of the Super Eagles. The rest of them, as the number 10, we are still struggling to find that man who can find the rhythm, who can fine-tune the team to make sure the Super Eagles get the results. So any striker will really suffer. Any striker will struggle to get the goals in that setup. But let's talk about Segun Odegbami, one man I had on the show not long. Never watched him play. Yes, 1980 Nations Cup winner. Whenever I remember Segun Odegbami, when I had him on the radio, or we brought him on the radio, he said a word to me. He said the national team, the NFF, vividly forgot that they are not the owner, that's the word, of the federation job. He said they vividly forgot that the NFF is serving Nigerians. It's not an individual job. It's owned by the federation. Now, I'm talking about legend Segun Odegbami, 1980 Nations Cup winner, never watched him play. I like to say it so has delivered a brutal assessment. He's not holding back this time around about the Super Eagles 1-1 draw in Bloemfontein against South Africa. The 1980 Africa Cup of Nations winner expressed deep frustration with the team performance in Tuesday's World Cup qualifier, a result that leaves Nigeria hopes for reaching the 26th World Cup in jeopardy. The Super Eagles went to Bloemfontein under pressure, needing victory to revive their campaign after a sluggish start. With just 10 points from 7 matches before kickoff, they trailed South Africa, who sat on that very high note. Nigeria extended their unbeaten record on South African soil, but were unable to claim the 3 points they desperately needed. Odegbami did not mind his words by saying, which Nigerian does not know that the Super Eagles were overhyped and overpampered? They have not been impressive and convincing in their performance for for over a decade, while changing coaches like babies' diapers and massaging the egos of players that could not reciprocate with great performances on the field. Now, the 1980 Nations Cup winner is not happy with the national team. He said the country was also starved of success, but when the Super Eagles managed to get to the finals of the Africa Cup of Nations in January 2024 and lost, the country had an orgasm, celebrating and rewarding team as if they had won the World Cup. Since then, the country had paid for this seeming profligacy. Its football remaining stagnant, not rising above that plateau, and struggling to justify a celebration that may now be considered premature. Shego Digbami rightly said, since then, the Eagles have become like guinea fowls, flying only in short stuffs and stars. I'm so sorry I'm saying this. You got me laughing anyways, but it might not good. It might not good. Like, if Shego Digbami can come out to say this, like guinea fowl. He said, home and away, he said it does not even count for Super Eagles. It's worth laughing. It's worth laughing because he said this, we used to be known as the giant of Africa at the time, but now we struggle to get results. And he's saying that this team feels like they are good enough, but they are over-pampered and they've not done so well. So maybe we should stop hyping Nigeria national team because we face Lesotho and Benin Republic in October. But qualification hopes appear slim. That's what you need to know. Missing out would mean the Super Eagles will fail to reach consecutive World Cup, having also missed the last one in Qatar. And that's how bad it would be for Nigeria. So I feel like everyone is giving up. Everyone is giving up. Yes, we're giving up on Nigeria. Nigeria football, let me not say political Nigeria. We are giving up. We are really giving up. Shego Digbami is saying it. A lot of players are also saying it. Some have said, let's forget about this World Cup. Let's wait for 2030 and get ready for the Nations Cup, just maybe. But what happens? We told about Teboho Mokoena. I would have loved to start with that very one where we brought you Teboho Mokoena's, worried picture, worried face, because there could be a point deduction for South Africa. I know this does not sound cool for South Africans. They don't like to hear this. They don't like to say this. But would it happen? Why is Equatorial getting its own happening soon? Who is keeping that on South African side? Who is making it stay just somewhere in the pecking order? Why is it not being talked about now? But I just want to say sanctions should be done. And the game is big that you cannot just play it and let some things that look bad sweep under the carpet. Why Nigerians are anticipating to see that point deduction? We've already heard that FIFA has come in place. Gianni Infantino, the Swiss Italian, has come out and they are going to sanction Equatorial Guinea. 3 points deducted, and then you know how it works. So if that happens to South Africa, can I tell you, there's still a chance to still make it to the World Cup. Because on this show today, we'll tell you how it looks. We'll tell you what's the fate of Nigeria, if they can qualify for the World Cup. Even though you and I can attest that our point, our point or our power doesn't lie on our hands. It just might go elsewhere. But with Nigeria making it to the World Cup, it only takes time. Now your destiny doesn't lie in your hands. You have to wait to see that South Africa maybe drop point, and not just dropping point, the point will be deducted. So let's assume Nigeria now in that position and South Africa is docked. Like if I have the group picture, so you can see what I'm saying. If that point is being docked, like permutation wise, but it should be, don't get me wrong. If that point is being docked out, then we'll have to see them lose the game. And don't forget their next two games as well would be played where all games at home. And that's how it could be at the detriment of Nigeria not making it to the World Cup. But let's talk about a lady on the show today. I'd like to introduce to you, she's a football administrator, and as of January 2025, she was the vice president of the South African Football Association. She has also been a football managing director of Mamelodi Sundowns, the Premiership club. She and her husband, Angelo, came on the board side of the Sundowns back in 1988. I'm talking about a lady that said that Nigeria, there's nothing super about the Super Eagles. South African lady, she's dissing Nigeria. But is there really anything even super about Super Eagles? That's the question. Because Anastasia became the managing director while Angelo became the chairman. That's the lady you have. Now, she also was a member of the FIFA Organization Committee. She's big for the arrival in 2010, of the FIFA World Cup when South Africa hosted that one, as well as the FIFA Football Committee. So she's on the FIFA job. She knows it very well. South African football power broker. Her name is Natasha Sichalis, has taken a swipe at Nigeria Super Eagles after the labeled 1-1 draw with Bafana and Bloemfontein. Nigeria went into the game needing a victory to revive their stuttering World Cup qualifying hopes, but was instead left frustrated. The draw preserved Nigerians' unbeaten away record. I don't like to talk about the unbeaten away record. It doesn't make anything for me. It doesn't hold water. But this lady you have on your screen, the former Melody Sound chief and now vice president of South African Football Association, argued that the aura once surrounding the Super Eagles has long disappeared. They no longer fear Nigeria. She said, with all due respect, there is nothing super about the Super Eagles. I remember the years when they were truly super while playing against Bafana. She was quick to highlight South Africans' fluid attacking play in the first half as a proof of their resurgence. That is what I expected Nigeria to be doing. I just don't even know how our football is going. Let me even say to you drastically, you need to know, this is like a bit of truth, but that's what it means. Our football is going down every day by day, like drastically every day that unfolds. Our game is going down. We are losing it. No one is scared of Nigeria anymore. You're playing against Rwanda, you're struggling. We will even struggle against the Chad. You could see the Chad side, was it Chad or Sudan at the Chad beating Nigeria. That result was crazy. So even now, people talk about it, they can't forget about that result. And one thing about football, football is legacy. It's an evergreen thing that keeps to stay in the minds of people. And she said, the lady said, if you look at how Bafana played, especially in the first half, it was fantastic. The passing, the skills, and the moves were unbelievable. They didn't even look if they are going to get things wrong. They didn't even look when they passed to each other. It reminded me, she's saying, of the beautiful football we used to play. I really enjoyed that game. So we've lost it. That's the world. Nigerians have, let me say Nigerians, Super Eagles have lost it. No fear factor anymore. That's why personally for me, I don't always say the giant of Africa. You might say it. If you talk say Nigeria, I don't want to say that. I don't believe Nigeria is still the giant of Africa. You can say that for yourself. Maybe that's your opinion. But three-time African champions, what happens to countries side like the Egyptian side, even the Ghanaian side, I want to rate them ahead of Nigeria. Cameroon, what happens to those sides? The last time we clinched on the Nations Cup, 2013, are we ever going to win the World Cup? I don't want to say it's impossible, but for now, I'm not thinking about it. Not even in 2030 can Nigeria win the World Cup. So they need to strategize again. They need to make sure everything looks well. They need to work very hard. They need to find a way, find the rhythm to make sure the results start coming. This lady now that just spoke, or I just told you about, Chisa, I'm not saying, Natasha, I'm not trying to take side, but I'm trying to say that are we really worth to be mocked? Yes, we are. Because we are finding it very difficult to get results. Natasha, I'm talking about. Natasha has said a lot. As she let us, Natasha said the Super Eagles are a team that don't look anything strong anymore. Now, Shilas also is a lady who people know very well. Whenever she talks, her husband and her has been on this job very well. She knows how far she has come on this game. At the 2010 World Cup where they won it, she said a lot about the South African side. Now, if Natasha Shilas has come out to tell the world that Nigeria is not a team that you can say super is super. Because when I know super, when you say something super or Super Eagles, something that soars high, but now there's no way you can tell me that we haven't soaring that high. Because personally, she knows the job. She has been following South African football. She's a part of the FIFA committee at some point. She's just on this job with her husband. So they know this job well. And at some point, she also worked in Mamelodi Sundowns. Now, and she's currently working with Sundowns, the best club in South Africa. They have other club sides, the Kaizer Chiefs, the Orlando Pirates, good club sides in South Africa, with the PSL looking so facilitated. But I'm talking about if Natasha Sinclair can say that the Super Eagles does not look super anymore, I will not fault her. And I would agree with her, not because of she's saying it about Nigeria not getting the result, it's because of we struggle to win. I can recall back on the time on the show, was it for last week? I can't recall the day. When a lady, was it a lady? I think someone on the comment section said something and said, Nigerians always play well with South Africa. Do you realize that we played well against South Africa? Not like well in quotes, but we tried. It's a different way that we played against the Rwanda side. Rwanda is a smaller side to compare to South Africa. But we used to beat South Africa back in the time. Yakuba Igweni said, we're no more creative anymore. I remember South African football. I know them. Lucas Radebe, Mark Fish, quality player, Quentin Fortunes. They've got Stephen Pina, they've got legends of the game. But now, you talk about South African football, you're having Kakana, you're having Mongwazi, you're having Zengana, you're having Teboho Mokwena. This set of players, are so united. Let me even tell you, we used to know them by a team that has a lot of Mamelodi Sundowns. But when I saw Higabru's team against Nigeria, I checked the road. I was finding it very, very difficult to see in Mamelodi Sundowns teams. It means they are now spreading. They've gone back to make things right. Leo Foster, the man that was playing, it used to be Reyners. Reyners is their number 9, naturally, Reyners. But Reyners did not start. He came in when the game was about to be done. And it was about Foster, Leo Foster of Burnley. I watched him play the other time against Liverpool. Was it yesterday in the Premier League? And this is the setup of a team. Nkota as well, Apolis, Ulus, Mokoena. Is a different one to say to those guys that played. I think more of Ron Williams on the goalpost, but the way they took their team. People say Ntwari is a quality. No, Ntwari, Abi. Ntwari, that's a keeper. That's South African League. They have got a very quality league. So if they are saying that we are struggling, then we are struggling. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Nigeria does not deserve to be at the World Cup. And I don't know whose report you believe. Can we make it to the World Cup? Time tell. But for Natasha, she don't believe Nigeria can make it out of this very one. Now let's talk about the under pressure. Eric Chell is in the news. There are some rumors that says this is looking like, I don't want to say it's a false news, but you know, this is coming from the Super Eagles camp. The decision of head coach Eric Chell, the national team coach, Eric Chell, to play William Troost Ekong in the Super Eagles 1-1 draw against South Africa in that World Cup qualifier was made under pressure. Not me saying. Ekong was a second-half substitute in a 1-0 win over Rwanda in the World Cup qualifiers in Uyo. His spot was handed to a 20-year-old lone Brentford defender. He plays for Dangers in the Jubilee Pro League of the Belgium Stars. His name is Benjamin Frederick, who posted a man-of-the-match performance in his first ever start at a competitive level for Nigeria. Frederick kept his spot in the team for the game against South Africa, but this time around, he was made to play in the back four with Captain Ekong as his partner in defense. I don't know if that was where Eric Chell got everything wrong. You know, Ekong, why I don't like to fault Ekong, I'll tell you, is that Ekong was the best player at the AFCON Ivory Coast 2023, rather playing in 2024. Now, the back line at that point, we had this 3 back line. Pesero was good in his back line and he was so defensive. They had Ekong, Simi Ajayi, Ekong in the middle, Calvin Bassey, and then I think Sinosi on the left side, and Ola Aina from the right. He worked well. Now, against Rwanda, we saw a deep line centre back that paid off. Let me have that Ekong picture fully, first of all. I like to have this fully, first of all, so you see. Yeah, that was about Ekong. Now, however, Ekong lasted just for the 5 minutes before he was subbed off during the first-time break, only after he had scored an own goal and struggled to cope with the pace and direct approach of the hosts. Now, that game, someone came to say, or someone has rather said, when Ekong was listed to start in the game, I just smiled because I know it wasn't the idea of the coach. In the first game, when it was announced that Ekong won't start, there was a mild drama over the decision to pick Frederick. This is the Super Eagles player saying. He said, 3 senior players openly expressed their reservations about the choice of the coach. And he said, I was on the bench that day, and not only were we surprised by Benjamin's performance, we were blown away, but after the game, some senior players started with same agenda of we need Ekong away to South Africa because of the nature of the game. Now, the star said, the Super Eagles player, his name is undisclosed, right? The coach, Eric Chell, bowed to pressure, and I believe he will be having some regrets now. At halftime, he switched to his preferred option, although Ola Aina would have moved to left back for Bright Asai Samuel to play at the right back, if not for his injury. And he said, I was expected to be introduced, but unfortunately, not everyone can play. So it means someone on the bench is already talking. But sometimes I question coaches. I can't believe I'll be doing this, but I just have to do it. I question Eric Chell with that lineup. I question Eric Chell. Ekong has not really been, have you followed him well? Saudi Arabian League, have you followed Al Khaloud? He's not really been playing like, it's more like, what's the word? You're giving a start to someone who has struggled playing football for a while. And you know there's talk. Okay, now, Calvin Bassey looks calm when he plays with just one man at the center half. He looks very calm. Watch Fulham. At the Nations Cup, it was a 3 at the back in Ivory Coast. Calvin Bassey, Ekong, and what's the name? What's the name? The tall man, the Hull City injured player, West Brom former player. Okay, Simi Ajayi. Yeah, I recall his name, Simi Ajayi. he's out of the team. He's very calm and collective. Ekong in the middle. Now, these guys were really controlling the tempo of the game. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Ekong was not good. He was the best player. He's less like a Virgil van Dijk. He's very sensitive in the game, so he reads the game very well. But that's start against South Africa, I felt that maybe, just maybe, what would have been wrong if you still play, give the belief to the young player who's 20. Let him start with Calvin Bassey. It still works for me. Bruno Yemechi could go from the left or line. Any way you want to do it, it works. But you're trying to play a 3 at the back. Now, well, guess what happened? Ulus, Mokwena, they owned the midfield. Fisayo Bashiru played, had a good game. Iwobi was struggling, Didi was struggling. We didn't even see the Super Eagles players. They felt like the South African side owned up the game. And guess what they do? They spread the ball when they lose the ball. That's a side that is ready for a World Cup. I would have joined people to say the Stadium Toyota is a bad place. I don't want to say that because now we've heard rumors. I don't want to say rumors. Speculation says South Africa will have to take the game back to the original pitch where the game was supposed to be played. But regardless, how well did we play? I don't want to talk about the climate or the weather or whatever. I just feel like the Super Eagles did not own up. They didn't take their chances. They didn't possess the game. The urgency was not there. It was more like the South Africans knew what they wanted before now. Maurice, I always say it. They deserve to be at the World Cup. Maybe intercontinental playoff works for Nigeria, but I doubt if that will come to pass like a Bible verse. Let's talk about Aina. There's a news about Olaoluwa Aina, Nottingham Forest player. There's a bad news that says he won't be part of the Super Eagles team for the World Cup qualifiers against Lesotho and then Benin in October after that 1-1 draw against South Africa. And also, Aina went off injured early in the game, which put Nigeria on the edge of missing out on one of the biggest tournaments, if not the biggest footballing tournament. But according to the new coach, Ange Postecoglou, he won't be available for the Super Eagles' next game. A huge blow considering that he is one of the key players for Nigeria. The 28-year-old has also been taken out of the list of registered players in the English Premier League side, with the spot given to his fellow Nigerian Taiwo Awoniyi, not by position-wise, but by spot placement. Now, what is the fate for Nigeria? Before we get to other news, let's tell you, we know about the story about Ricky Hatton, who is late today, MBE 1978 to 2025. We'll tell you about that very one. The world of boxing celebrating this morning, that's the word, but we celebrated him before now, but now we have to mourn him on this show today. But let's talk about October 2025. What's next for Nigeria? The Super Eagles they still have a slim chance, no matter how slim, to make it to the World Cup. But a door is opening, even though their fate is no longer in their hands. It's awfully and painfully slipping away, and we just might not make it to the World Cup. Their possible road is now anchored on permutation, serious prayers and calculations. One possible option is for the team to win the remaining 2 matches. And then, eliminated, we have to see if we can win against Lesotho. But let's talk about the scenario, how it runs far. If Nigeria win their remaining 2 matches with high goal margins and South Africa loses theirs, the consequence is that the Super Eagles will top the Group C table. You see, we are now saying if South Africa is now like a what if. It's not even certain that the South Africans will lose that point. The high hopes, the high scores proposed will enable them overturn the goal difference advantage against South Africa. And in the event of qualifying of equality in points, if South Africa should lose their remaining matches, how can they lose their remaining matches? To already eliminated Zimbabwe and contending Rwanda. Then, the snag here is that both matches, as well as the Lesotho versus Nigeria duel, will be played in South Africa. So I don't know how, I don't think it's possible, I'm sorry to say. Alternatively, by winning the 2 matches with high scoreline and South Africa topping the table, the Super Eagles will get their possible maximum of 17 points and could rank among the top 4 groups runners-up owing to the anticipating high goal difference. That way, they go through the long road of continental and intercontinental playoff. This scenario is akin to the winning. It's more like you want to say you're winning a lottery. You know how it looks like, luck. You say you've won the lottery. That's how it looks for Nigeria. And also aiming to rank high among the possible runs and possible groups. Let's tell you that our destiny looks quite shaky. Runners-up look a more likely option. But this part is also hugely challenging. Even with the maximum points, 17, Nigeria will still trail teams like Gabon, Madagascar, Congo, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, and Uganda. Gabon already has 19 points and is thus assured of the playoff. Now, so only 3 slots are available for contest now. The door of Madagascar and DR Congo already have 16 points and thus closer to obtaining a playoff ticket than Nigeria. Yet another 4, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Namibia, and Uganda are already on 14 points. Are you seeing it? Namibia still have an arithmetical chance of topping the Group H, even with their current 14 points. The same applies to Group E's current second place team, Tanzania, who incidentally have 10 points. In summary, it means Nigeria's path is laced with landmines. The Super Eagles will need heavy goal margin. Heavy goal margins. They're not going to score goal. That's the worst of them. High goal margins in the next games coming up. And if Nigeria happen to do that, then maybe we can talk about the Super Eagles. Should that happen, Nigeria, South Africa, Benin will finish equal on 17 points and goal difference will be the tiebreaker. The 17-point projection for Benin, you could say Benin Republic, is based on their possible defeat of Rwanda, and that game will be played in Kigali. So that's about how it looks right now. But quickly, let's get off that news and tell about the boxing world, what's really going on. This is about Ricky Hatton, 1978 to 2025. British boxing great and former world champion dies at 46. Ricky Hatton, everybody knows, is an iconic and much loved figure in British sport. He has passed away at the age of 46. Hatton was a former welterweight, you could say two-weight world champion and one of the most sports popular fighters. His victory over Kostya Tszyu was an epic moment and he brought a legion of fans to Las Vegas. Hatton also was founded at his home in Hyde on Sunday morning. When the game was played at City, I saw that game. He's a very huge fan of Manchester City. But a police spokesperson said officers were called by a member of the public to attend Barclay Road High team side at 6:45 a.m. where they found the body of a 46-year-old man. They are not currently believed to be any suspicious circumstances. Hatton had, let's say, he had multiple world championships for himself and also at super lightweight and won at welterweight during a 15-year professional career. I think we have more of Hatton's picture on the screen as well. Now, the British boxing great had been due to make a comeback to the ring in December. Hatton's stellar career included epic fight against Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. A legendary triumph over Kostya Tszyu is recent. Now, let's talk about his health. Hatton spoke candidly about struggles with poor mental health, both during and after his career. He described how losing to Mayweather back in 2007 took him to a dark place and led to alcohol and drug abuse. Speaking to BBC Radio 4, he revealed when he was alive, he tried to kill himself several times. He said, I used to go to the pub, come back and sit there in the dark, crying hysterically. He also said there were times when he hadn't had a drink for days and he would still come home. And if something goes through his mind, he will start pondering something. And according to him, it was the same outcome whether he was having a drink or wasn't having a drink. Hatton said, but in the end, I thought I would end up drinking myself to death because I was so miserable. I was coming off the rails with my drinking and that led to drugs. It was like a runaway train. Now, he later said, if a boxer can come out and say they are struggling and crying every day, it's going to make a huge difference. Hatton said, having gone through it, I now see it as my job to help those suffering with mental health. Now, because I don't know, his death is looking contradicting, right? Although it's also important to note that Greater Manchester Police said that they are not treating the death of Ricky Hatton as a suspicious one. So his death is just, I don't know, but rest in peace, of blessed memory. Let's really shift attention to Formula 1. Max Verstappen was the first to reckon weight at the round 7 of the Nürburgring last constrained Series NLS on Saturday, where he wasn't even competing but racing only to earn a special license. He only won in his class but also left many experienced drivers and experts overwhelmed. Fans hailed the Red Bull champion. Talk about, Max Verstappen on social media as he went on to prove his dominance at the Green Hell. Max Verstappen also took to Instagram after the Notchcliffe race to share a picture of himself along the glimpse of his blue Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 RS Club Sport. His fans showered him with a lot of praise in the comment section. One wrote, he just loved to race. Another called this Nürburgring showed a typical Max Verstappen move. A fan claimed Max Verstappen race it. One more added, this debut was definitely 100. Next year he will be the best. and they call him the GOAT. Another comment read, born to run, obsessed with victory, simply matched. And that's about Max Verstappen. And also some fans also addressing him by the fake name under which he had participated at the Nürburgring in May. Simply lovely, Frank Herman, wrote a fan. Another added, nice work, Frank Herman. Frank Herman is a very big man, a legend in the world of Formula One. So wrapping up on the show, let's tell them more about the Formula One world. The Mercedes team have not had the best of outing in the recent rounds of races, but the German team had their sights set on an improved performance in Baku. Trackside engineering director Albert Schoblin has revealed what the team must do to clinch a podium at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The British engineer who spoke via the Mercedes team race debrief ahead of the upcoming Azerbaijan race detailed the team's expectation of finishing off the podium at the Baku street race. The 51-year-old also highlighted what the team must do to achieve their aim for the street race. The Mercedes team have been without a podium finish since the Hungary Grand Prix last time out in Monza. The team also found himself in the pace of a front runners-up, and that's about Max Verstappen. Can I talk to you about the Djokovic news? Yeah. Let's bring this to you quickly on the show. Back in August, Novak Djokovic had cleared plans for September, expecting that the national team would play in the Eurobasket final. However, the semi-international Novak Djokovic team was unexpectedly eliminated by Finland, and Novak Djokovic is currently in Athens, the capital of Greece, where he intends to settle with his family in the future. The semi-international tennis player also announced his participation in the tournament from 250 series in Athens at the beginning of November. Already, we will probably see the 38-year-old tennis player as a supporter at the Davis Cup in the match between Brazil and Greece. The public also expects Novak Djokovic to watch the important duels between Stefanos Tsitsipas and also João Fonseca. It will be an exciting match from which the fans of both teams expect the most. Both are certainly quality tennis players, and these duels could be really special. What more in tennis world? I'll tell you, Great Britain Frank Jones into the semi-final of the Sao Paulo Open as she chases the first WTA tour title of her career. Talking about the next news now, the world number 85 beat Argentine second seed Solana Syria 6-3, 6-4 to book her spot in the last four at the hardcourt WTA, that's 250 event, that's what it is. Now, Jones next faces world number 130, Janis Jan from Indonesia on Saturday for a place in the first top-level final. That is the semi-final. The winner of the Jones-Jan match will play either world number 84, Renata Zarugal, or 19-year-old Chensosa Rukamanga Rajona, who is ranked 214th in the Sao Paulo final. More headlines to come your way. We're just leaving you with this. In the world of golf, big finish at Wentworth. Rory McIlroy happy to head to Ryder Cup on a high note. This is all I feel we can bring you on the show. We will do this again tomorrow, hopefully, on the Sports Public Show. That will be a very bigger time. So we can look into the part that says there is nothing super about the Super Eagles coming from that lady, Natasha Anchilas, on that very news. A South African lady has said Nigeria is not going anywhere. They are no more the strong side we used to fear before. So maybe a message is clear to Eric Chell. Go back and make things right, else Nigeria will keep diminishing, going down drastically the pecking order of the world of football, and the battle for African shows for Nigeria in the shows of African football. But this is me signing out. My name is Kizike, and the only football player without a jersey is the name. I'll see you again tomorrow, Tuesday, and for now, peace.